Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to the Body Science Podcast, the world of fit, happy, healthy. And we're going to throw on the end of that all about the Lions. And we've got two really good people from the team. We've been with the Lions since, does anyone know? Like, it's been a while now. 5 years, about 5 years we've been playing with the Lions as a official partner. Well, if we don't know, no one else knows. Let's call it 5 years and we'll just all agree and nod that's been about that long. Yeah. And Melanie, I want to have a chat with you at first because it's really cool. We get athletes on, but we don't really get to talk to their experts and their dietitians and that in a lot of this place. And I really want to talk to you. Why did you go to AFL? As a dietitian, you have a lot of options on what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess when I first graduated as a dietitian, I've always had a sporting background, so I always wanted to work with athletes, particularly because, you can improve performance through nutrition.
Absolutely.
So I started off down with the Waratahs and the Dragons down in Sydney, and then coming to Brisbane was coming home for me. So I was really lucky to get the role with the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, nice. And Zac, how's working at the Lions? Like, let's not talk footy yet, but from a perspective of an elite athlete, is it really good for those people out there to, know that there are Melanies and all these type of people in that structure? Because AFL is renowned for having a big set of assets behind its players.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have those people at the club. Obviously, when we come in, we're not all experts around our nutrition, diet and that sort of stuff. So to have people like Melanie at the Lions is great for us.
Melanie, from a perspective of the dietetics side again, can you throw some, like what do you actually do with AFL players? Like you said, you can change performance, and that's great because I'm 100% supportive of that myself. What do you actually do pre-game, and what are some of the rituals that you have in place with the players?
I guess the reason why I like working in sport and particularly AFL is because our role as a sports dietitian is so varied. So we're trying to improve performance through pre-game nutrition, post-game nutrition, but also from a day-to-day perspective. So if their nutrition is not on point from a day-to-day perspective, it will impact on the game also. We then look at hydration, and then there's the factor of, food is a cultural aspect of the club as well. So we're always looking at what meals that we can provide the players, education tools that we can kind of support them with as well.
Is that like how the players keep their six-pack? Is that what you're talking about? Because that's a common misconception.
I would say
in performance sport is you need a six-pack. There's a lot of body shaming, a lot of body issues, a lot of, when you're an elite athlete, there's a lot of pressure to not just be a great athlete, but there's an expectation you have a look. And you often see in social media, oh, look at him, he's holding a few kilos, no wonder he's having a bad game and all that type of thing. Do you spend a lot of time with athletes on that mental side of nutrition as well?
Yes, and it's definitely taken a different kind of priority over the last couple of years. I mean, we used to really think of body composition as being really dependent on performance, and now we understand that it's more around fueling well and making sure the players are recovering well more than what they're looking like or what their body composition is. So it really is quite an individual piece as to where a player will perform best at.
And how does it work for you? Like if somebody wants to live keto or carnivore or something that's trending, how do you as a dietitian adapt yourself to like player requirements in that space?
I'm actually lucky we haven't had anyone wanting to go keto. I think that was 2 to 3 years ago. I did have that fairly often. But I mean, what we do is you just speak to the player around why they want to, follow or adapt to a certain way of eating, and then relate it to their performance goals as to, whether it would be a good idea or not. And then also just, I guess, meeting them halfway, also finding, things that they can do that will make a difference to their performance.
Yeah, nice. Zac, let's talk footy for a while and let's chat about you. So you were number 15 draft in the 2017 AFL, is that right? Yeah. Mate, let's be honest, what was that like as a young kid? Were you an AFL all the way through? Like, was that everything you always wanted to be from day one?
Yeah, pretty much. Ever since I was a kid and had a footy in my hand, I loved the game and played footy, through from 5 to 18 and absolutely loved it. My dad played footy and he's the one who put a footy in our hand, and just fell in love with the game and always wanted to be an AFL footballer. Growing up in NT, they used to have a couple AFL games up there, and I just sit in the stand and watch them and think that maybe one day I could be there. And to think that I was drafted to Brisbane is an amazing feeling.
And mate, was it hard to be found from the Northern Territory to make it into the AFL? Like, it is a bit of a breeding ground for AFL players too, isn't it?
Yeah. It is a bit harder there, obviously up in Darwin compared to, say, Victoria. But I ended up moving to Adelaide when I was 15 to pursue footy.
Yep.
There's a little bit more attention down there, I guess. So I went to school in Adelaide when I was 15 and did a couple of years of boarding school there, and was lucky enough to play for NT. And then they did a joint sort of Queensland, New South Wales NT side, which I played in and was drafted out of there. So I sort of had to make the move out of NT to get noticed a little bit more.
Mate, you made your debut in round 3 against Richmond at the MCG. That must have been epic.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Thinking back to that game, probably not one I wanted to remember. We ended up losing by 94 points, but I just remember being out there and just loving every moment, even though we were getting smashed. It was sort of a dream come true, and especially at the MCG, the home of football, to be out there playing against Richmond was an amazing experience, and one that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. I love talking to athletes, and I get the chance to talk to them, and I always, normally not on a podcast, I ask, how was it that moment that you ran out? Like, did you have a little spew? Were you worried about tripping over, or were you just, this is the best, let me on, I cannot wait to rip in? It
was probably the last one. I think I started on the bench, so I wasn't in the game for probably the first 6 minutes.
Yep.
Standing on the bench line, it was a bit like that when I ran on. It was sort of, just a dream come true. And, like I said, the game didn't go how we wanted to, but just being out there was amazing.
And what was it like to step up to the AFL, like intensity-wise, just crowds, the whole?
Yeah, it was a pretty big jump, going from sort of school footy and under 18s to AFL footy. It's a massive jump in intensity, and quite a bit of a shock to me. And I guess playing at the MCG, there was a bit of a big crowd, and it is pretty nerve-wracking. But I think once you're in the game and once you get your first touch, and you sort of get through the game, your nerves sort of go away and you just play footy.
Yeah, I love it. And Melanie, what's it like? The guys run anywhere from 12 to 20 Ks on game day, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are you feeding them before a game? What type of things are you doing to ensure that they're fueled?
Yeah, I guess we do prioritise pre-game nutrition. Pre-game nutrition is certainly important, but we can bring this back even further and make sure nutrition is on point from the day-to-day, because you can never really make significant changes in the hours leading up to a game.
That's great advice, actually. That's really good advice.
For a player that has, a poor diet throughout the week. So I'd say pre-game nutrition really begins in the 24 to 48 hours before the game. Also, priorities during this time being regular meals and snacks, with a focus on carbohydrate and hydration. So the body prefers carbohydrate to fuel high-intensity exercise, and obviously the best way to limit dehydration during a game is to come in well hydrated. I guess, Bash, you would know this, experienced players, right? You have a sense of, how you feel on field when you have executed your game day nutrition well, compared to when, you've had a poor lead up. But yeah, what happens in the sheds? So we basically just want to make sure that we have carbohydrates readily available for the players before and during a match. So our pre-game table or favourites, lollies, the sour worms, fruit, banana bread, waffles, Cliff Bars. And then we also
there's so many people want to be AFL players right now, I can tell.
Right? And then, we use sports foods as well, energy gels, Gatorades, Cliff Blocks. Some players prefer to bring their own snacks. So I think everyone's seen Wilmot's, Aldi's microwave rice. That's he really enjoys that, which is great. But players are burning through energy quickly, so we need to make sure these items are available before the game and then during quarter time as well. Yeah, you will see sometimes a player's average speed and acceleration will actually decrease in the third and fourth quarters if they haven't topped up carbohydrates throughout the game. So absolutely optimal nutrition can make a difference to the score at the end of the day.
Hi, I'm Tom Green, Olympic champ from Tokyo, and if you want the best tasting protein bars on the market, you should try the new Body Science Moose range. Greg, you better be testing these.
Mate, they're getting drug tested, got you covered. And do you find a lot of people suffer with trying to eat pre and during game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some players find it difficult to eat before a game, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to practice. So the gut will adapt. And I guess part of my role is working individually with the players and helping them progress towards a nutrition plan that allows them to play their best game. So generally we'll start with smaller amounts of carbohydrate 3 to 4 hours before, and then gradually bring it a little closer towards kickoff.
While we're talking about pre-game and in the locker rooms and stuff, Zac, you're going to share some funny stories about the boys around you pre-game. Like I've been in a lot of dressing sheds, and it can be the worst place to stand in that moment, or it can be the most entertaining place you've ever been leading into a game.
Yeah, I don't know about pre-game. It's pretty serious pre-game, and a lot of people have their routine. So not a lot of mucking around goes on pre-game. But a couple of stories through the week. I think yesterday Richie was about to hop in his car, Daniel Rich, and someone had ended up getting 3 bags of the the play balls. The plastic ones?
Yes.
Yeah, so 3 bags of those, loaded it up, and he's in the front of his car, and he went and opened it, and they all came flying out. So that was pretty funny. And I think last year Mitch Robinson was growing out a rat's tail, and I think Reece Matheson came up behind him and chopped it off when he wasn't ready, so and ran off with that, and that didn't end too well. So there are a couple of funny moments that I remember.
That's gold. And mate, with your journey with the Lions and talking serious footy, how do you think the game's evolving? Like, do you love as a player where the AFL is going? Not the AFL management, but the actual game itself?
Yeah, I think it's going in the right direction. All the teams at the moment are pretty evenly balanced. Any team can beat any team, and you just got to show up on the day. So I really like where it's heading, and I think from our perspective, we've been in some pretty good form over the last couple of years and done really well. So yeah.
Melanie, for you as a dietitian it's a pretty intense sport. It's when you look at the data on an AFL player, there's not many sports that trump it really on game day. Do you see a lot of need to increase like product development in that space, or do you think it's a really simple process these days of getting the macros right for a player?
I think we've definitely there's always scope for more products, of course, especially in the sports space. But I think it's all there, to be honest, because nutrition doesn't need to be complicated. We've just got to simply follow a repeatable framework that kind of works within someone's lifestyle. So, an athlete may have higher energy needs than someone who isn't playing sport, but at the end of the day, that framework is very, very similar, and it's just making sure that we're hitting all nutrition basics. Yeah.
You discussed that we need to keep it simple, and the basis is there for the future of sports nutrition in AFL. But the guys lead a busy schedule, training, games, short period turnarounds. I can only assume that this is a real pain in the ass for you, but do you find yourself chasing players around to make sure that the meals are nutritious? And somebody's actually said to me the word food ninja here, and I'm going to go, are you little food ninja running around the dressing sheds going, I want you to stay in this game, we're here to win, let's do this? Or do you get the look?
You get different reactions from everyone. I mean, yeah and no. There's some players that may need a little bit more help than others. But I mean, as a general overview, we've got, a few strategies at the club which really help us to stay focused on nutrition, or really just have it front of mind. I guess we've made nutrition a real part of our culture at the Lions. We're lucky to have that out in Springfield. We have the Wilds Cafe chef preparing nutritious meals for the players on big training days. The boys also have ingredients to make recovery smoothies after sessions. So, not only ensures that players are eating well to perform during these important sessions, but gives them a few ideas around what they can prepare themselves at home as well. And I think what we've done really well also is that we ask the players to bring their own lunches on quieter training days. So this often starts conversations. And let's face it, athletes are pretty competitive, so they're always trying to up each other in that way. And they have some really good conversations around what's what for lunch. But the schedule can be pretty hectic. So I found that, and nutrition can be complex web of information. There's a lot out there. So we just prioritize the obstacles that make the largest difference on field, and just have those small education pieces throughout the season. So I found that over time and experience with different clubs, it's just about having those hallway conversations rather than long presentations as such. And the players will be really open about asking questions when I'm out at the club as well. Yeah, we also have a WhatsApp group, so the boys can chat, share thoughts, ask questions on that as well. And then we just keep all nutrition info in a bit of a resource box as well.
Yeah, nice. Zach, what's your go-to meal, mate? What are you good at?
Cooking.
Yeah.
Well, we do HelloFresh, so basically all the food gets delivered to us and we just have to put it together.
Smart. Good player and smart.
A pesto pasta is pretty easy, but that's one of my go-tos. Bit of lasagna, spag bol.
Yeah. That's a good thing about being an AFL player. You're real. Just listen to the food that you've been talking about and the brands you ripped in earlier on too. Like, there's a whole lot of young kids out there that want to be AFL players. I can tell because the food style is very similar to what most young kids are eating now. So, Zach, you've just played a game and obviously you give everything on the field. What is Melanie running at you with after the game in the dressing sheds to make sure that you're back up for training sessions next week?
Post-game, there's those protein shakes. We've got Gatorades, waters, ready to go. We get a post-game feed, which is usually probably something a little bit unhealthy, but it's good to get a bit of food in straight after the game. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do. And then over the next couple of days after that, just make sure we get our diet right and get ready for the next week.
So, Melly, what are you trying to aim for at post-game? Like, what is it as a dietitian who, one person calls it unhealthy, one person calls it calories? Like, where are we going to play in this space with you? What are you looking for?
Look, what we're trying to do is just recover ASAP, because what you can actually, if we're not recovering as soon as possible, you can get a domino effect, and then that leads into the next week of training not being as good as it possibly could be. So 3 keywords, we just go repair, replenish, and rehydrate. So yeah, we absolutely chase the boys with the Body Science protein drinks after games with 30 grams of protein and fluid. We're just hitting a double whammy with 2 primary recovery goals and kickstarting muscle repair. And then after that, the players will have a balanced meal with an emphasis on carbohydrates. So I guess they can be things like, your burgers, burritos are really good options, sometimes pasta or rice-based dishes, the chicken pesto pasta.
Did you say Doritos?
Burritos.
Oh, burritos. Sorry.
Burritos.
So why is she giving them Doritos?
Yeah, so... And then I guess similar to pre-game nutrition as well, we've got to remember that post-game recovery continues 24 to 48 hours. So we are advocating for the fact that the players are eating well in the days after the game as well. So
just on average, because every player is different, it's all a whole lot of self-science, what type of calories are you putting into the boys, like around a game?
To be honest, it's as you said, very, very different.
Yep.
And the energy requirements vary quite a lot depending on, a game day versus a recovery day versus, a double training session day. So we really work on just making sure that we're well fueled before, during, and after. And I wouldn't normally count calories as such on a game day.
Everyone remembers Michael Phelps saying he had like 14,000 calories a day or something, and everyone went, wow.
I think I definitely have heard that some players can be up at 16,000 to 20,000 kilojoules per day on like a heavy training day, especially during preseason. So, but yeah, if you can imagine, the training load varies quite a lot. So does the energy. So do the energy requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Everyone's. Yeah. But it's interesting that, like you're talking people playing footy, like how many people actually think that food and nutrition is so necessary in this space? Like, and when you're talking about your lives, Zach, are you thinking about like when you go through the process of rehab and food, are you as a player, are you thinking this is my job, I need to do that like an F1 car, or are you thinking I want longevity in the game? Like what keeps you motivated to stay compliant?
Well, I think you've got to find a balance. I think most AFL footballers are pretty good with their diets, but on the odd occasion, you're allowed to treat yourself. It's not all about just maintaining the same sort of diet for as long as possible. I think you probably need an unhealthy meal every now and then just to sort of maintain it.
One for the brain. I just want to say thanks, Zach, Melanie, for coming on board once again. Big fans of the Lions. Really keen to see you guys holding up that trophy.
Yeah, I'm keen for that.
Thanks for coming on board. Appreciate your time. I know it's always tough. You train hard and you've got really busy schedules, and it's always appreciated.
Thanks so much.
Thanks heaps.
Cheers.